Our picks from Reuters breaking views this morning. StanChart taking share from rivals in Asia. No great surprise there. And for a change, hot money working in Asia's favour. With me is Peter Larsen. Peter Sands can, at least for the time being, continue holding his head up high, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're looking for another, I think, what is it? They're aiming for their 10th year of kind of fairly healthy growth.
Exactly. Remarkable.
9% income growth. So actually the signs are pretty good, which is really a reflection of the economies that they're in. But there's sort of two factors working sort of in opposite direction. The first is they got quite a big jump in bad debt provisions, particularly on the consumer side, which is causing people a bit of a worry. There's a sense maybe that actually some of this rapid expansion that's been going on in lending is coming back to haunt them in terms of the higher bad debts. So that's a bit of a worry. Yep. But on the positive side, as you said, they're picking up share from European rivals who are withdrawing from Asia, and you see that very much in their wholesale business, and particularly in the sort of the trade finance.
And is that the strategy now?
Well, I think
just fighting for that share.
I think that's part of it. I mean, I do think they face a longer term question, which is what is the ideal balance between the sort of wholesale business and the retail business? And at the moment, the wholesale business is dominating. It's 2/3 of the income and 3/4 of the profit of the bank in the first half. But obviously, you don't necessarily want that to expand too much because investors get a bit worried about, what kind of growth this is and how reliable this is. So some kind of balancing will probably be needed at some point.
Hot money working in Asia's favour. This is Wayne Arnold's piece. Just talk us through the premise for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, hot money is generally a sort of a dirty word, particularly in Asia, because people, going all the way back to '98, governments are very sceptical about sort of hot money flowing in and then flowing out again in a hurry. And there was a lot of tension and concern at the time of the sort of when the Western world embarked on quantitative easing, because suddenly people were borrowing in dollars or in pounds or in euros and
it wiped out the effects of QE, right?
Well, it undermined the effects of QE, but it kind of meant that you suddenly, in Asia, you were dealing with currency appreciation, potentially inflation, commodity price inflation, all those kind of problems. But actually what's happened now is that as the world slows down, some of these Asian countries are sort of are trying to think more about how they can stimulate their economies. And actually having some hot money coming in at the moment is actually quite helpful because it helps corporates. It allows corporates to borrow more cheaply. So corporate bond issuance, I mean, it's going up everywhere, but it's really going through the roof in Asia. Yeah. And also it's pushing down the yields on sovereign borrowing. So I think in the Philippines, the yield on Filipino government debt has gone from 5.8% to 5.5% in a fairly short period of time. So for once, and the reason for that is just because people are getting a yield there that they're not getting in the US or Europe. So for once, actually, the hot money is working in the favour of the Asian economies.
Okay, you can find both those pieces on the Breaking Views website. You can watch this show on the Insider platform, of course, and on .com. If you want to watch our US Breaking Views show, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 BST. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.